There were twigs poking him where he was lying. And even he's showing a little bit of reluctance to eat around the abdomen. He started with the ears and with the face, licking as Brent was describing, getting rid of the fur, and using those spurs on his tongue to get the little bits of meat off. I know that I actually should have addressed this earlier. I knew that it was going to be an immediate concern, and I forgot to mention it. So if the warthog was ill, a lot of you, Wendy included, but many of you are worried about the lion then eating her and catching whatever it is she had. And there's a couple of things to mention here. First of all, a lot of the animals here are carriers of TB, but they are almost, in essence, immune to it, if that is what actually killed her in the end. So he might be carrying it, but it is an inactive form. This is condition, which point the TB might kick in anyway. He's not going to catch any disease that he wouldn't already possibly have. There's another aspect to it. If it was a bacterial infection, as soon as a carcass like this starts to decompose, and the same goes for anthrax and a lot of the bacterial infections, once it starts to decompose, the natural decomposing bacteria actually outcompete the bacteria that caused the disease in the first place and kill them off within hours of the carcass starting to decompose. And for those of you that are sensitive, this is a bit of a grisly view. Just be aware, not the most pleasant thing to witness. All part of nature. Won't be catching any diseases. Brent, I think, has actually mentioned that there have been sightings or animals that have died of rabies, and animals have actually shown fear when faced with an animal infected with rabies and moved away from it. I don't think it was rabies that had her. Her behavior was totally wrong. Wasn't at all what she was experiencing. And if it is a toxin, just to cover the final base, if it was a toxin, the chances of him getting or transmitting through ingestion, or through him eating her, is next to nothing. These animals are such consummate survivors. For every diseased warthog that we might see a lion eat, he's eaten plenty worse in his time. Ultimately, nature knows, for the most part, what is good for them. I'm not in any way concerned he's going to catch anything from this female. Except maybe a cut on his paw from where he's holding it. He does look very chuffed with himself now. I wonder where on earth he was hiding. After 2 days flat of searching for lions, and we just happened to bump into him. The other 3 Birmingham boys that we know of are on First Rock on Torchwood, which is to our eastern boundary. Steph, who's watching in Belgium, was wondering how far away they actually are. The answer is, I've been to First Rock once or twice before. I'm going to give you a rough estimate of about 3 or so odd kilometers. So just under 1.5 miles, for those of you who work in imperial systems. As for where the 5th Birmingham boy is, I don't have an answer to that. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think he's been reported by any of the other guides in the area, which is not that uncommon for male lions that have established themselves a territory. They often go off in their separate ways and then return to each other. They'll go and patrol on their own. Maybe even, it could even be that the other male is mating with the Nkuhumas wherever they happen to be hiding. James did find tracks of a male and a female this morning. And that is also a possibility. You can see already where his tongue is stripped away at her fur. I wonder if she didn't have some form of growth. That's also a possibility. Definitely not healthy pig flesh of an animal that's been recently killed. Now using his carnassial teeth at the back of his mouth and slicing through. It's a little bit too early, I think, to be seeing any maggots at this distance. But Lael was wondering how fast maggots will appear on a carcass after death. And Lael, it's actually the most incredible science that is behind this. And I know a lot of forensic investigators have done experiments into the development of maggots at different temperatures. Now, on a hot day like today, where temperatures nearly reached 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so 38, 39 centigrade, on a day like today, and the last few days, they would develop incredibly rapidly. So we would already be seeing newly hatched maggots within at least 24 hours, if not a shorter period of time. They'd be very, very tiny. And the rate that they grow at is then also determined by temperature. I would say that she probably already had maggots around her when he found her. It's just that at this distance, we can't see them. Not that I think we have any desire to be right up close. He's not really approaching her with relish. He actually he seems very reluctant to open the stomach contents. We know when lions have a fresh kill that they have just taken down, they almost immediately open up the stomach and they go for the most nutritious organs, the liver, the kidneys, the lungs, the heart. That is where they focus their attention, and that's actually what they fight over for when they first make a kill. The storm is coming, you can hear the wind blowing, so can he. Look at his mane, he looks like a shampoo advert or a hair gel advert blowing in the wind.